happening and it freaks me out.
Oh, it's stone gas, man.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 13, lucky number 13 of Region Free. I am your host, Pizzal. Hope everybody out there is doing good tonight. Let me make sure I'm coming through loud and clear. I am coming through loud and clear. Hello, everybody out in the chat. Hope you all are doing well. I want to draw your all's attention over to our Patreon. If you want to, if you like the show and you want to support us further, our Patreon link is in the description. Lots of cool exclusive content over there. So if you love the show and you want to show a little extra love, head on over to our Patreon. All right, so let's get the show on the road here tonight. First up with me, I have got the legendary B-Movie Mike. What's up, Mike?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm ready for the show. I'm all cranked up on Mango Pepsi, and I'm ready to go.
All right, cool. I was not a fan of the Mango Pepsi, but I mean, you do you.
Jeremy still like it?
He drank his whole bottle and then whatever was left of mine. So
he knows what's up.
He's never met a soda flavor he doesn't like. So soda fiend right there. Also with me tonight is Jamie. What's going on, Jamie?
Hey, Piz, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you? Is that a new piece of furniture back there?
It is. That is my new blue velvet couch.
Ooh, nice.
David Lynch. He is my sensei.
Now all you need is a bottle of Pabst Blue Ribbon and some sort of inhalant, and you're good to go.
A nitrous tank. I'm going to get one and set it right up over there. That should be fun.
That would be awesome.
That'll be a real party time.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Good to see you, Jamie.
Thanks.
Also with me tonight is El Stingray J. Hello, Jay the Stingray. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
How's it going, man?
Good. Can't complain too much.
There we go. What are we drinking tonight?
This is Dark Magic.
Dark Magic. Okay.
My usual go-to.
The go-to. Does that have like an extra dose of caffeine or anything in it?
I think it's just normal, but it's just really dark blend.
Have you tried the Death Wish coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Is it good?
Flavor's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Also with me tonight, Monty. What's up, Monty?
Hello, everybody. I apologize for kind of jumping in late last minute. The cursor disappeared on my desktop, so I got to do it. I got to do it old school here right now.
Oh wow.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wow.
That's not good.
Yeah, but I'm back with you guys again, so it's fun to see everybody.
I know you're here. You've brought that energy and that passion that just infuses everyone. So we're good to have you. However we can have you.
Oh, I'm amped. Let's do this.
Okay, all right. And with me tonight is Delambre Flying Fish Shop.
Monty, so if you want to see that cursor back, I'm going to need you to PayPal me $150 by the end of the show.
Oh my God!
So,
well, Lord,
times are rough, my man.
Look, I'm a starving artist. I don't have it.
So
Listen,
Lauren,
starving and starving.
Lauren called you pretending to be Microsoft technical support. Is that how he got you?
That's exactly what it was.
Okay. You know, a lot of people fall for that. A lot of people fall for that.
I should have known it was you, Lauren.
So I'm alternating between Diet Pepsi Zero Sugar Cream Soda and the standby, of course, of Coke Zero.
Okay, nice.
Keep the caffeine and the flavor rolling.
Okay, very cool. Let's do some shout outs here before we dive into tonight's topics. We've got Jess Graham in the chat. We got our buddy Dan in the chat. Gary North, hello. Joe Bob, what's up? Manhunter sucks. He is a new follower.
Love that username.
He saw our slasher megasode from the Sausage Factory days from many years ago, and it hooked him. So he's here with us tonight. We got Misha Romo. Hello.
Hi, Misha. She's my friend.
Oh, cool. Hey, Misha. Sean McManus. There's Keith, Captain Halloween, Richard Skorinky. There's Stone in the chat. How you doing, Stone? Ryan Harland, David Vines. So yeah, we got the chat's popping off tonight. That's always good to see. Hope everybody's doing well. There's Owen Sartor. How's it going, Owen? Before we dive into tonight's topics at hand here, we've got a couple of region-free birthday boys that we need to give shout-outs to. Our brother Stone recently had a birthday last Sunday. He turned the big 50. So Stone,
Happy birthday.
happy birthday, Stone.
Happy birthday, Stone.
Half a century old now. I'm joking. I really don't know how it is. But I hope you had a good birthday, man. So, and we had one other birthday boy. Let me do a little tribute to him. This fella right here, our buddy Christian, he turned the big 15 today. So Christian, happy birthday, buddy. And hope you had a great birthday. All right, cool. Stone says he is 42 years young. Very cool.
I was going to say I'm probably the closest to 50 around here.
Jamie.
No, I passed up 50 a couple of years ago.
Oh, I would never have guessed that.
Well, I have the brain of a teenager, so I understand.
There you
You
go.
look young.
That's what I say. You're only as old as you are, mentally and developmentally. Because I stopped developing in 16 mentally. So I mean, I'm still
I think I actually peaked around 25.
I've accidentally microwaved a remote control, so I'm clearly 130.
Oh my gosh.
It happens. Before we dive into tonight's topics, let's talk about Godzilla versus Kong, which has turned out to be an enormous hit. Don't know the numbers for HBO Max because they keep those pretty close to the vest, but it has become a substantial hit at the box office. I think it's already grossed over $100 million. Is that right? Overseas? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it was at a 120 something overseas and just under 50 after the first 5 days domestically.
Cool.
Which no one saw coming. To give you a comparison, back when Wonder Woman 84 opened in December, January, whenever it opened, it did 12.
Mm-hmm.
So this is definitely a big moment for the theaters coming out of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big shot in the arm to the theaters, and I think it definitely obliterated expectations. Which, I mean, you would think for a movie like that there would be some pretty lofty expectations to begin with, but it's pretty much obliterated those. How many of us here have seen Godzilla versus Kong? So Mike and Lauren and myself. What'd you think of it, Mike? Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't raise your hand.
Trying to unmute my microphone.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, what did you think of Godzilla versus Kong, Stingray?
I like it a lot. I saw it twice. I watched it the morning it came out. I watched it then, but I was on a live stream, so I wasn't paying close enough attention. So watched it again a day or so later. It was way better than I expected, honestly. Because considering the way it was released. And the last one I was kind of iffy on, which I need to go back and rewatch again. I had a bad theater experience, but
Mm.
It was way better than I was expecting.
Okay. What'd you think, Mike?
Same thing. King Kong Skull Island, or Kong Skull Island, whatever it was called, is still my favorite of the new MonsterVerse, but this is a very close number 2. It's I got HBO Max, so I tried to get caught up on this stuff, and I saw, of course, I'd seen Godzilla 2014. That one, it's not my least favorite, but it's definitely toward the bottom. I like a little extra Godzilla in my Godzilla movies, please.
I don't remember a thing about that movie now. I don't remember a thing about it.
That, they kill off Bryan Cranston, probably one of the best actors in the film, and then they replace him with Kick-Ass, right?
Yeah.
Who is not the most charismatic actor on the planet. Not that he's bad. It's just that Cranston would have done a much better job carrying the film. If you're going to have a lot of human stuff, have a guy like Cranston carry the film. Him and Wannabe would have been a great team, and I think the film would have been a lot better for it. But it was okay.
Yeah.
Kong again, Skull Island, still my favorite. I did watch King of the Monsters before I watched Godzilla versus Kong, and I'm going to have to say that's my least favorite. King of the Monsters. That's the bottom tier for me. Now I realized that when they got the license from Toho, it's kind of like a loot box. Every monster has a cost, and they maxed out when they got Rodan, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, and they wanted to add some of the other ones, but they just couldn't afford it. So they had to make up, like, I don't know, what was it, the Mammoth Adon or whatever, the woolly mammoth thing, and then there was just like, what's that? And it was kind of like, let's just make up some stuff and hope they don't, hope they don't notice. But I think the human element in that film was just, oh God, I just couldn't. That really did. I mean, the monster fights were pretty cool. King Ghidorah is really good, but I don't know, the story on that one just kind of sunk it for me. And that god awful cover of the Blue Oyster Cult classic Godzilla, like, that puts it at the bottom of the list right there. That was horrible. Whose idea was that? Who recorded it? Who mixed it?
See,
holy crap!
I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all. I must have blocked that out. If it was,
if I didn't like the movie before I heard that it was the ending credit song, that killed it. But Godzilla versus Kong, I thought it was great. It was lean. Hour 53, which is great because they tend to get a little long with these movies, and they don't. Come on, guys, it's not Shakespeare. Get to it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need too much crap. More thriller, less filler. And I thought they balanced it well. The human characters were decent. I didn't mind the podcaster. I thought he was like he kind of reminded me of the guy in Eight-Legged Freaks that had the radio show, the conspiracy theory guy. So he kind of added. But he ended up being right about what he was talking about, and then they had the kid that was in Deadpool 2 as the main threat to take out. He was amongst that group, and then of course you had the girl back from, which was cool to have a little bit of continuity, having her character come back from King of the Monsters with her father. That connective tissue was kind of cool, kind of keeps you in the universe. They didn't bother me. I thought that was okay. I liked the fights. I thought they looked great. It's a Kong movie. I think that really was its strength, because this has got to be, especially in this film, one of the best, if not the best, versions of the character Kong. I know the purists of the 33 film might throw rocks at me, but the CG in this flick is actually really good. And I was really impressed with, Kong felt like a real character, and sign language, and it was going to get spoilery here. I can't help it. He could communicate. He had a personality, and I just thought that was great. And Kong made the movie, and Godzilla was good, but again, it was kind of like he was a peripheral character that would just show up every once in a while, do his thing, and then fuck off, And Kong's like, oh, I got to carry the movie. All right, then. But he did a good job of it.
Yeah, I felt like it was definitely the Kong show, and I'm 100% Team Godzilla, but I really liked Kong in this movie. I didn't mind it at all that Kong was the star of the movie, and I agree with you about the CGI. I thought the CGI for Kong particularly was really good, and they gave him a personality. I thought the whole whatever's going on between him and the little girl, I was like, oh, it's going to be so cringy, and I was like, it's actually really good, and it added depth to the Kong character.
You know, she's really a great little actress. I mean, she really pulled off the part very well, I felt. And I really liked the part when it went to her point of view, there was no sound. So, you know, she's a deaf character, so that when you're seeing things from her point of view, there's no sound. So I thought that was really kind of a cool little addition that they did. And yeah, her character communicating with him and the whole thing, I didn't have a problem with it at all. Like I said, it's damn near my favorite of the MonsterVerse. It's just that Kong Skull Island just kind of edges it out a little bit, but nothing major. It's almost a tie.
Yeah,
man, I thought it was really good. It gave you everything that it promised. I mean, but you know, you go back and you watch the old Godzilla films, which I grew up on. You tell me the human stories are better. They're not. They're cheesier. The effects are worse. They're great, and I love them, but I'm sorry. It's like you're going to tell me, oh, well, I hated Godzilla versus Kong because the people were stupid. Obviously, you haven't really watched much of the Showa era. You know, where Godzilla's dancing around and acting goofy, and they got little Kong and little Godzilla, and yeah, I mean, come on, it's been sillier before, so
yeah,
I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, what do you think, Lauren? What were your thoughts on Godzilla versus Kong?
Well, I saw it in the theater, which was great because the crowd, and it was a crowd, it was a show, it's a sold out show. Given the social distance requirements, it was a sold out show.
Right.
And the audience was into it. There was some cheering at the end of the film. It felt great to be back in the theater. I like the film a lot. I like the entire MonsterVerse a lot. I don't think there's a bad film in the bunch, to be honest with you. I would say, actually, I'm not looking to start a fight with Mike, but King of the Monsters is my favorite by a decent amount. I mean, I think it's the head of the pack, pretty huge. I actually love the human characters in that film way more than any of them. Millie Bobby Brown and this one and her team kind of are pointless to me. I think they're probably the weakest part of this film. But like Mike did say, if you love Godzilla films and you come from a history of not the whole run, whether you're talking Showa or Millennium, the human characters are always kind of melodramatic for their own sake and plot devices. That's always the point they've served. So I really wouldn't want it any other way. I think in this movie, I think they humanized Kong maybe a little too much for my taste. I love in the 33 film that, yes, we love the love story, but let's not forget that when he picks up the wrong woman, he just throws her to death too. And I want a little bit of edge to my Kong that they kind of erased to make him a clear-cut protagonist. I loved seeing Godzilla as a vicious son of a bitch. Loved it. I don't like when they go too far into the protector realm with him, whether in any era. I like the idea that he is not opposed to people. He's not going to kill people on purpose, but you know, if you're in his way, he's not going to step around you either. So I kind of liked seeing a very single-minded, vicious Godzilla. Overall, I'd rank them King of the Monsters, Skull Island, Godzilla versus Kong, and then the Godzilla from 2014.
Yeah. If they do continue on with the MonsterVerse, are we? My one concern is I think it seems like the first Godzilla movie 2014 was very serious, maybe a little too serious, and then King of the Monsters seemed to add a little bit of comedy. There was quite a bit of comedy in Godzilla versus Kong. So I said in my review, I hope it doesn't keep going down this path, because when Son of Godzilla shows up, I'm out. But
Manila is a hard pill to swallow in the wrong context. He's pretty good in Final Wars, though.
If the MonsterVerse continues, do we? I think the next movie needs to be a really good Godzilla movie. When I say a really good gun, I'm talking. I've not seen Shin Godzilla, but I'm aware of its reputation. Something on the level of like a Shin Godzilla, where you have, good characters, a really intricate plot, and then Godzilla doing his thing. Doesn't need to be 3 hours long, but
Shin Godzilla won't work for a mainstream American audience. 20 minutes of Godzilla and 140 minutes of boardrooms is not going to work for an American audience.
Yeah,
so that is not going to happen.
They need to pare it down quite a bit, but I think they could, a good intricate, end of the world plot, because I mean we're apocalyptic kind of thing, and have Godzilla there doing his thing. He doesn't need to evolve like he did in Shin Godzilla, but something on that level I think would be really cool.
I want a different monster from the Toho verse to get his own film, so that they can build up towards another versus film. So I would love Rodan to return and have his arc, or her arc actually. I think that would be awesome. I wouldn't mind a Mothra adventure. I would love a minor character like Anguirus to get his day in the sun, or the big guys. If we're working towards something, have it be a Anguirus film, and then he has to fight, Gigan as the big bad, but Gigan actually wins at the end of that film, and that sets up, the Godzilla versus Gigan film. Or give me Biollante, and I'll just go home happy.
I want to see Biollante.
Are Western audiences that familiar with the lesser known monsters to give them their own movie like that, or are we thinking like HBO Max kind of movies?
Mothra and Rodan were in King of the Monsters, so I don't think they need to be reintroduced.
No, not them, but like some of the other guys.
I think there's so much goodwill around this franchise right now. They could do it.
Well, that was my whole problem with the first one, was they just made up some stupid monsters. Same thing Mike was saying about what they did in King of the Monsters. Like they just, made up some stupid, generic.
The Mutos, which make a return in King of the Monsters. There is a Muto in that, but the reason why is because they couldn't afford to purchase any more monsters from Toho. They're trying to keep the budget down. So
either that or Toho wouldn't sell them.
Oh, they have a price tag on every monster.
It's not so much either of those things. What really happened there is they really wanted to see if they could have a roster that they didn't have to license. So introducing them was the idea of, if the Monsterverse got big enough, we'd get a behemoth film, which is the woolly mammoth reptile thing. They were keeping options open, and I don't blame them. There is a point where the Toho monsters will become too obscure. Yes, I don't think Biollante necessarily. I think you could make that work in your marketing.
That'd be great.
But I do agree that there is a point where it's like no one cares about it. You can't do the smog monster.
That's what I want, smog monster.
Can't do it. So,
but they need to get with the times though, and instead of a podcaster, they need like a Monsterverse centric YouTuber in the next movie.
Well, basically, because the plot of King of the Monsters, you should have had the smog monster in that movie. I mean, if you're going to kill off humanity for their sins against the earth, the smog monster should be the reason, right? I mean, the eco-terrorist plot line that she was going to wake up all the monsters at the same time so they could take their rightful place and punish us for destroying the earth, and we could go back to a more manageable number as far as the population goes, because we don't deserve what we have because we haven't appreciated it. I mean, that was kind of like the plot of that movie. So where was Hedorah? Where was the smog monster? That would have been a perfect movie for him. He could have been, look, that's what I'm talking about,
Well, that's the whole thing, is an allegory for, nuclear weapons, right?
Yeah.
Well, in the original series, absolutely.
Yeah.
Why not go that way even harder with the, like you're saying?
I mean, they brought back the oxygen destroyer bomb, which brings about Destroya, right?
Yep.
So there's another monster you could have, because there was crustaceans in Kong's lair. You could have the oxygen destroyer, accidentally create Destroya, and that could be another monster come forward.
I just hope too that this new Monsterverse will help shine some light on the '98 Godzilla and how overlooked it is and how great it is. Because that movie really needs to be rediscovered. I think it really does.
It needs love, right? That's a lot of fish.
It does. Yes. All right. Cool. So.
Just real quick before you guys end
Sure.
on the big monster movies. I always used to like, when I was growing up, watching Fight of the Gargantuans. And I never hear anyone talk about that. And I don't know, those were my favorite monster, big gigantic monsters. So I just wondered how you guys felt about them. Are they part of that universe? I'm not even sure.
They never properly crossed over, but I mean, it's because that's followed by a War of the Colossal Beasts, so it's its own thing, I think.
I'd just like to see them in some movies. I'd like that.
Thank you, the Daily Ghost, for the $10 super chat. He says, "Love all you troublemakers." Thank you very much. I don't know who you're talking about. I'm a very law-abiding citizen, but thank you, sir. You must be talking about Jamie.
Yeah, I'm a big time troublemaker.
Yeah, but thank you for that, Ghost. We appreciate it, man. Mike, what have you got for us this week, man?
Well, I checked out the season 2 premiere of Creepshow on Shudder. I guess it's also available on another service. I don't have or I'm not aware of, AMC Plus or something. So I don't think it's an exclusive to Shudder. I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But I saw it on Shudder. Again, not paid by Shudder. I'm a subscriber. I pay for the service because I enjoy it. Yeah, that's like my horror movie place to go. And I'm a big Creepshow fan. And I really think the premiere of season 2 of Creepshow was stronger than the premiere of the first season. Now, it's been a while. I don't know what caused the delay, but it was like September of 2019, I think it was, or October, when the first season premiered on Shudder for Creepshow. And now we're here in April of 2021 before we get season 2. Now, I do know they had an animated special and a Christmas special, but this is the official beginning of season 2. It's kind of a long wait, but I don't know if it was COVID or what. But
I think it was COVID. But I didn't see the Christmas special. I heard kind of mixed things about it.
It was animated, right?
That was the one was that around September, October last year they came out with the animated thing?
I think so.
And then they had the Christmas special, which was different.
I don't remember.
Well, anyway, both episodes directed by Greg Nicotero, the N and K and B, who also Walking Dead fame, Tom Savini protege. One thing I really liked about the season 2 premiere was all the homages and callbacks to the original film from 1982. If you're a huge fan of that movie, you'll enjoy this premiere even more. The first one is Model Kid. It's basically like takes the wraparound, the beginning of the wraparound of the first film with the kid and Tom Atkins and the comic book in the trash, and kind of adds to it, changes it up a little bit. But you got the colorful comic panels behind the heads, like in the movie, in certain segments, and the kid in the in the episode reminds me of like a young Dennis Christopher from Fade to Black. I got those kind of vibes, but it was just it was a real treat for original Creepshow fans, and a lot of love for Romero throughout, especially in the second one. But I'm not a God, I don't need depressing things. So there's some elements of Model Kid that were kind of like, I didn't really need that, but it pushes the plot forward so that whatever, it worked. But Kevin Dillon was pretty cool as the abusive, drunk, jobless uncle. I thought it was kind of a neat turn for him. The effects were great. The atmosphere was great. Both segments take place in the 70s, which was my childhood, so I appreciated that. Because it kind of reminded me, like, outside of some of the other things, that kid and I would have gotten along pretty well, because we both had I like how he had the film projector. You couldn't get videotapes or whatever. He had like the 16 millimeter, whatever he was projecting on the wall, and he'd watch these movies and stuff. And, I thought all that stuff was good. The effects were great. So the first one is good, but the second one was the highlight for me. Public Television of the Dead takes place in Pittsburgh at a public television. You see the beginning of the original Dawn of the Dead. You get those kind of vibes. As far as the TV studio, there's a guy in there that's a happy little painter. That was really cool. All the different things they threw in there was really awesome. And you get Ted Raimi and the Book of the Dead's involved. And it's almost like Dawn of the Dead meets Evil Dead and there's just like so much love for Romero in that one that it was really heartwarming just to watch. Let alone it was funny and very enjoyable. So yeah, for me, season two,
Ted Raimi as Ted Raimi.
Ted Raimi as Ted Raimi, trying to sell the Book of the Dead on like an Antiques Roadshow type of show.
Exactly.
This premiere has everything. It's just freaking awesome, and I loved every minute of it. The next episode is actually tonight, so after the show, I'll be checking that out. And I like the fact that they're doing that. It's not just binging's okay. I don't have a problem with binging. Some people do, but I think you kind of lose a little something by the time you're 5 episodes in. I like that having to wait. Because you kind of look forward to it and you kind of appreciate it a little more. At least I do. So yeah, season 1 or season 2 premiere of Creepshow is definitely probably better than anything in season 1. And there were quite a few I liked in season 1, like the Finger and the werewolf episode, and there was a couple of really good ones. But I think the premiere of season 2 is pretty much better than anything that was in season 1. So I don't know if they can hold up that kind of quality. The effects were great. The energy was there. Man, it was everything I would want in a Creepshow TV show episode. You get 2 22-minute episodes together, and the atmosphere. That was great. I really loved it.
Anybody else see the season 2 premiere of Creepshow?
No.
Not yet. I will watch it though.
Yeah, I'd have to echo a lot of Mike's sentiments. Yeah, that second one, basically, it's Bob Ross versus the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
How can you? I mean, that's perfect. So yeah, that one was a lot of fun. I really liked I liked the first half of the first one, and it was doing that tearjerker kind of stuff, and I'm going, oh man, it's like, what is it about this show that makes me want to choke up? Yeah, it was a very strong premiere. No doubt about that. Very strong premiere.
I'm sold.
Cool. Yeah, I intended on having it watched before we did the show, but totally slipped my mind.
Yeah, with that, the only thing I'm afraid of is with such a strong premiere, are they going to be able to live up to that week after week? Is Nicotero going to direct every episode? I mean, the effects, everything. It was like, man, was that the money shot week 1? You know what I mean? Is it all going to be downhill from? I hope not, because it's definitely going to make me tune in. I mean, I'm still going to watch every one, but it kind of scares me a little bit that we might have got the best first, which is kind of man.
Well, I mean, they've got a really good track record, because I mean, really, if you look back at season 1, I can only think of, and I wouldn't even say full episodes, but this vignette wasn't, there's a couple of meh vignettes in there, but overall, I thought season 1 was really good. Just about every episode had a good, at least one good, vignette or whatever you want to call it. Most episodes had both of them, I thought, were killer. So yeah, I just hope they're able to keep up that kind of quality going forward, and they've set the bar pretty high for season 2.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Marilyn Manson myself.
Is that one still airing? The Marilyn Manson one?
No.
Oh, shit. I totally fell for that day.
So did they make one with Marilyn Manson?
Yeah.
Oh, and then they pulled it, right?
Mhm.
That's a whole different kind
Yeah,
of
he got maybe we should go
He
there.
got camp. Yeah, he got.
Yeah. Shouldn't go there.
I still would like to see it. I don't care if it's canceled or not.
Oh, I'd
Me
love to
too.
see it too. It's probably freaky.
Maybe they'll put it on the Blu-ray.
You hire a guy who's known for wearing a leather G-string on stage and released an album called Antichrist Superstar, and then you hold him up to a moral standard.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It's like going all the way back to Portrait of an American Family. It's like, what did you think the guy was all about? I mean,
The first
he's
song
been
is about
wearing it on
school
his
shooting from the
sleeve
school.
for like
Exactly.
30 years.
Kid's got a gun in his lunchbox. Come on.
They
And-
thought he was a
And it's a
church
celebration.
Well, he
Yeah,
had a
he was a
song
church
called
boy.
"Cake and Sodomy."
Yeah.
He hasn't exactly been shy.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden they're offended. It's like, well, I thought it was pretty much everybody knew, but whatever. Whatever.
Yeah.
The point where you get into a personal relationship with this guy, I'm not sure. it's kind of like you're walking down the train tracks drunk. This is not going to end well. And it doesn't justify you getting run over by the train, but I want to do a little bit of research on this one.
It doesn't justify what happened, but it's kind of like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
All you have to do is just look and go like, okay, this is the way this is going to end.
You know he's not the guy on the first date who's like opening the car door, like and opening up the door at the restaurant. He's not that kind of guy.
I mean, no matter being a victim is a horrible thing, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And if he did what supposedly he did, then that's fine. He should be punished for it. But the grooming thing with him, I don't know. He's been pretty open about who he is and what he is from day one. I don't see any kind of where he was trying to hide anything. He was pretty open with it.
He published an autobiography called The Long Road Out of Hell, which basically is like a warning label to stay away from him.
Misha says that she worked for Manson. How was your experience with being employed by the Antichrist superstar, Misha? Can you imagine? Yeah, can you imagine like the first day? They're getting ready to eat, and he's like, "Let's pray first." And you're like, "Oh." Nice little religious guy, and he's like, "Bow your head, please." Oh, Dark Lord Satan.
Hold on, guys. We all got to do our time at the stew pot. So.
Can you imagine being the contracted HR guy for Marilyn Manson? Like your phone doesn't stop ringing.
Yeah, your phone doesn't stop ringing. Yeah,
ever.
Misha,
we got a new job for you. Marilyn Manson needs a publicist. No thanks.
Here's what Misha says. He hired me to dance at his parties. Very interesting. It was pretty well known he was an abuser, and I was told to keep away from him.
Oh, God. Ugh.
So he just abused women, apparently, right?
He abuses everybody, doesn't he?
I would say probably everybody got abused in his.
Wow.
If you were within arm's reach.
Yeah, it's really like we've been saying. It hasn't really been hidden that he has problems.
Even the is not safe.
I don't think anybody's surprised by that.
Well, Dita Von Teese, let's move on from Manson real quickly. Even Dita Von Teese was married to him for a number of years, and she was like, "None of that happened when we were married." But
before or after she was cosplaying as Hitler.
Wait.
I missed that shoot.
Wait, wasn't Rose McGowan with him? Wasn't she?
Yeah,
that's right. Because she wore that chain link thing that I was like 14. I never forgot that dress.
Yeah.
That was.
Trust me. Anyway, let's move on. Any other thoughts on Creepshow season 2?
I'm really looking forward to it because I love the entire first season except for the last episode.
And for me, the premiere was stronger than. Although I'm more for the second half than the first half, although they're both good. I would say it rates right up there with the strongest of anything in season 1.
Well, I like season 1 more than I like either of the legitimate films. So we have a high mountain to climb, but I hope we climb it.
Let's see, Jamie, you are continuing your series this week of desert vampire movies or Western themed vampire movies. What have you got for us this week?
We're going to talk about From Dusk Till Dawn. Robert Rodriguez directed, Tom Savini and Greg Nicotero. I think both of them probably worked on the special effects, but I know both of them do a part in it. And I actually didn't realize that Nicotero was in it until just last night when I was watching it for today. And I was like, oh my God, I never once noticed before that that's him. It just slipped right by me because it's so quick every single time, which I was like, well, that's pretty cool. To me, this one is special. When I went to the theater to see this movie, I had no idea. I went in blind. I didn't know what I was going to see. All I knew was I was going to see a movie that was written by Tarantino, whom at the time I absolutely loved. And I knew that it was directed by Robert Rodriguez, who he was, frequently working with at the time. So I was pretty excited, but I had no idea. I had no idea that this movie was going to turn into a vampire flick right in the middle. So my reaction had to have been classic. I think my friends might have known, but I didn't. So my reaction must have been classic because I was like, what the hell is happening? When she comes out to do her dance, even I love the dance. Even I can't look away. Even I am mesmerized by Santiago Pandemonium. You know, she is gorgeous. Oh my God. And my husband, when we were watching it last night, as soon as she came on, he said, shh. No, until it's over, which I absolutely loved. What I really, really love about this movie too is that when it starts out, it starts right in the action. And the thing is, it screams Western in this part because it starts out with a standoff like almost immediately. You got the guys holding the girls hostage in the back of the store. Earl comes in, you know, the cop comes in and he's talking to the guy, you know, and then they have a shootout, a standoff, just like, you know, in a Western, in a bar, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. When he says, shoot the bottles, and he shoots the bottles, I'm like, oh my God, setting him on fire. That is hardcore. That is some hardcore stuff. I really, really like that. Moving on, I also noticed that it also has that Western standoff feel when they're getting ready to come out to fight the vampires. To me, it has that, you know, we're standing over here, that whole and also when the vampires first start coming out too, I also felt that standoff kind of feel. Something I don't like about it. What is up with the band? Okay. I love the band. I love the music, but this idea of them changing their musical instruments to dead, torn apart bodies is over the top and ridiculous and looks straight out of a manga or something, you know? And I don't enjoy that part. It's the only thing in the entire movie that I can say for sure that I'm like, ew, it's bad.
That's one of my favorite parts of the movie, actually.
You like
with
I love
the
it.
head dangling.
It's so wild and crazy. Yeah, I just love it.
It is crazy and out
Like,
there.
thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and they just like, you know, poof, and they're gone.
The music in the entire movie is fantastic from beginning to end. Every single song that they play is fantastic. The special effects, you can totally tell that this was before the days of CGI. There's obviously a little bit of CGI used in there, but it is mostly practical effects, and it shows. It pays off big time. Those, I know they sat for those prosthetics, you know, and the makeup design is outstanding. The set design with all of the neon and the neon titty twister light and all that, that's fantastic. It's one of the most memorable bar signs from any movie I've ever seen. I mean, I would really like to have a poster of it. I think it's absolutely awesome. Let's see, where was I? All the performances are good. I'm not going to complain about one performance. Every single performance is good. I love Harvey Keitel. George Clooney, if you were to ask me what's George Clooney's best role, I'm probably going to say From Dusk Till Dawn, because he's so different. He's so different from most of his other characters. He always plays like, you know, a good guy or a love interest or a doctor or, you know, a scientist or whatever, but he very seldom plays a bad guy. So for him to play this middle ground bad guy, because you also really know he's got a good guy inside there too, you know, because he obviously is not like his brother. Okay, the foot, gross. It makes me sick. I'm like, I don't want to see her stick the foot in the mouth. It's just disgusting.
It
but
is gross.
That's a Tarantino thing.
QT.
We all know
Yeah,
that Robert.
that scene wasn't in there before.
Yeah, we know that Robert was like, let's give him this scene because he likes it, and she was probably just like, all right, let's play along. I don't like that.
Yeah, QT,
You know,
the one in that one. He had Juliette Lewis's feet in there too.
He was
you
going in.
you know, Tarantino blew that shot. They probably did that shot 20 times.
That
was an all day shoot. That was an all day.
He was going in on that toe, wasn't he? Did you see his face?
Yeah.
forgetting my lines.
He is
Yes.
loving it.
She sticks that whole toe right in his mouth, and he's
It's like half the foot is in his mouth. He's like, that's probably the greatest day. I don't where somebody should have kept an eye on like where his hand. They should have like tied his hands behind his back. He was like,
see his eyes? Did you see his eyes?
so gross, absolutely disgusting. Now I love it when they go in and they start getting ready to, they get away from the vampires, they get into that one room, and then they start, preparing to be vampire hunters. I noticed that when Juliette Lewis finds that
Crossbow.
yes, thank you, crossbow, that when she opens it, it's in this like little coffin shaped thing with a cross on it, and I started thinking, oh my God, so there were vampire hunters there like long before. So I thought that was kind of a neat little twist because I've never seen any of the sequels. Never. I haven't
don't
seen
bother.
one. That's what I think. I don't really bother it because I don't want to spoil the original for myself. So I really haven't bothered with any of the sequels. So I don't know if it ties in somewhere in the future or anything like that. But I thought it was kind of cool to have this little hint in there that other people have come and tried to get them before, and they still have persevered. And then at the end, when it goes back and you during that song Dark Night, and you see that it's like this Aztec temple, and I know that's a matte painting, but it is gorgeous to look at. I absolutely love it. It's so pretty to look at. And all of the cinematography in the movie is really good. And you can also tell that you can see little bits of things that Robert Rodriguez is going to use in the future in that movie too. There was some Sin City aspects to it that I liked, and there was some my brain just went blank. I'm sorry. I'm going to blame it on the brain fog. Sorry. Anyway, I thought it was fantastic. It's one of the better vampire westerns out there. If you're looking into going into this genre, vampire western, which I'll be naming off a lot of movies in the future, that I consider part of this genre, that one is a really good one to start out on. Because it'll take you right into the action. And at first it's one way, it's a bank movie. That's the other part about the standoff thing. They robbed a bank. So they're being chased by the police, a posse, because they robbed a bank. And I find that very, Western. I like that part of it too. But it starts out as a bank robbery movie, turns into this completely nutso cuckoo vampire movie with absolutely awesome special effects, so much blood and gore. It's absolutely terrific, and I recommend it highly. I give it 5 hearts.
Let me give a quick shout out here to our buddy Nico. He says, my Mayhem mentors, just sitting back with pizza and learning from y'all. Well, thank you, Nico, for the $5 super chat. Always a pleasure, man. Glad to see you out there. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. And, okay, let's get to the brass tacks here. What toppings are on the pizza?
I don't buy for a second that Nico's learning anything from us.
You never know. You never know. I will second everything that Jamie said. That movie starts off almost like Natural Born Killers. You even have Kelly Preston as like the reporter from so you've got that kind of tie-in, and then it turns into just an out and out vampire bloodbath.
It's funny when you said that, because I said, I happened to mention during the movie last night, I was like, Kelly Preston is like really delighted by all this violence, like I am about horror movies. I get real delighted, you know, about gore and horror and horrible stuff. And she was so excited for, you know, this whole big chase with these gory guys. You know, it was pretty funny. I like that. It's such a small part, but it's so memorable, and she did it so well.
Yeah. It's such it's. Oh, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I love it. I saw it in the theater. I was a huge Tarantino mark at the time. Of course, Robert Rodriguez was kind of an up and comer, but he had already made El Marciari and a couple other films, and so I was a big fan of him too. And those two together, I just knew it was going to be just batshit insane, and I got everything I wanted from it. The tone shift is probably a little weird for people, but for a guy like me, it was just kind of like, oh, that's cool. You know, it's like just when you think you could get sick of something, you know, where you think it's going to come to its conclusion. Okay, they've gone as far as they can with this whole bank robber posse thing, and then all of a sudden, boom, you know, you're in the crazy town.
It's awesome.
And the only thing, you know, Rodriguez, you know, he kind of became the CGI green screen guy later in his career, a few years later, and I just really wish he would have stuck with more of the practical stuff. But Cheech Marin has 3 characters in this film.
Yeah.
Yes.
My boy Cheech. And, you know, when he does the introduction to the titty twister, I don't think I've laughed that hard in a while. That's like one of my
lines.
That's one of my top 10 right there.
Yeah.
He's the border guy, which is hilarious. If you've watched any of his Cheech and Chong stuff, the fact that he's actually a border agent. And then he plays a vampire, and then he's the guy that Clooney's supposed to meet at the titty twister. Yeah. And he shows up the next day, and he's like, "What were they, psychos? The psychos do not explode when sunlight hits them." You know? and I agree. This is my favorite Clooney movie. I think all of his acting tics and things he does when he speaks, it's perfect. He was perfect for this role, and definitely it was all downhill for his career, in my opinion, from here.
This was
it was kind of Batman and Robin was right around the corner, right?
Oh god,
this was kind of the beginning of his film career, though. I mean, I don't think he's done much more than like ER at this point.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's kind of weird how
Return of the Killer Tomatoes would disagree.
Yes,
his mainstream movie career,
his big time, you know, blockbuster style stuff.
Don't forget about
this was the script. This was the script that
Roseanne. He was on Roseanne. Too.
Yeah, exactly. Right. This was the script that Tarantino originally offered Travolta when he was planning Travolta's big comeback, and Travolta was like, "I can't see myself as a vampire," and so he goes, "Well, I got this other one, and it was Pulp Fiction." So Tarantino was playing the role that he had originally had earmarked for Travolta. So it could have been a little different with Travolta in that role. I mean, Tarantino's not a bad actor. I think he did a good job.
I don't know.
But Travolta might have put a different spin on it that could have been a little different. I don't know.
We've seen Travolta in what was the movie? What was the Fred Durst film? So just imagine that.
God. Battlefield Earth. We know he can cook some ham. We know. You know, so he could have pulled it off, but
Tarantino still would have made himself an extra in the bar, getting the foot in the mouth.
Well, yeah, that would have been. He goes, "Yeah, you can have the role, but that's my scene.
That's my scene. I wrote that for me."
Yeah, but the whole thing's great. It's an awesome flick, and the sequels I can't recommend, but that one definitely is awesome.
I don't mind the first sequel that Scott Spiegel directed, but it's you kind of have to like Scott Spiegel's. Because I mean, if you think them playing guitar with like the body parts is kind of off the wall, the part 2 is off the wall from top to bottom. With just, but I actually don't mind it at all. I think it's kind of fun. The third one's trash. Don't even go there. But the second one I enjoy.
I might give the second one a try.
But I love From Dusk Till Dawn. It's such a fun, action-packed, bloody, gory. It's 2 movies in one, kind of awesome cast from top to bottom. I mean, Harvey Keitel in a vampire movie, and he's like a preacher. Harvey Keitel's a preacher.
He has some great scenes with blank on his name, Batman.
Oh, George Clooney.
George Clooney. Like in the bar where he's like, are you a faithless preacher? Or are you a mean motherfucking man of God? You know, because that's what we need. You know, he goes, you know, I never believed in any of this shit, you know, until I saw that. And he goes, and those fucking things, they're straight from hell. So if they're real, then God's real. You know,
Yeah.
You know, basically, get your shit together. We need you.
Yeah.
That whole speech, and then at the end when he's talking to Cheech, and yeah, Clooney definitely owns the movie. He carries it. But Keitel, what an off the wall character for him. Such a straight-laced guy who's mad at God because his wife died, and Juliette Lewis, and all that creepy stuff between Tarantino and Lewis on the way there.
Yeah.
And then at the end when she's talking to Clooney and she's gonna go with them to El Rey, and he goes, do you know what El Rey is? He goes, I'm an asshole, but I'm not a fucking asshole. You know? He gives her some money and tells her, go home.
Yeah, get out of here, go home. Yeah.
You know,
I love the scene where because you know, I mean, what's it, Seth and something, I forget their names, but he's a Seth Rich, he's a stone cold killer. He'll kill you, but he doesn't do it for pleasure. Like when he walks into the hotel room where Tarantino is like completely destroyed the bank woman that they've taken hostage, and he's standing in the doorway and he's just like shaking. Yeah, he's like looking at. He's just like, you know,
what the fuck did you do?
Yeah, he's like tweaking. He goes, like he's thinking like, I knew you were sick, but oh my god.
You know, that's one thing I've always liked about From Dusk Till Dawn is how it's littered with these realistic scenes. So it's the fantasy kind of crime movie, and then it's a horror movie. But I remember when I first saw it, I was rattled by that bank teller thing. Him killing the lady. That messed me up when I first saw it in the what is it, the montages of the blood everywhere and the going in on Clooney's face. It really messed with me, and I didn't expect that feeling from that movie. But I think Tarantino's writing and Clooney's strong presence, and what's the other scene that when he shoots the at the deli, he shoots him in the back of the head.
Oh, the cop.
I didn't see that coming. Did you all see that coming when you first saw it?
No.
And I mean, in the theater, when you hear it go blast, I mean, I was just like, "Whoa, what?"
He was giving him signs. He was giving him signals.
Yeah,
I wasn't doing nothing. He had like a big dip in. I wasn't doing nothing. I swear to God.
I didn't mouth Elvis.
Yeah, I didn't mouth Elvis. Yeah.
Oh, and I like how they one thing with Tarantino's writing is how he lets the behavior kind of tell the story versus like the person's blah 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 blah. Like he says, oh, he was giving signals, and as you're like, maybe he was giving signals. As the movie goes on, you're like, wait a minute, Richie, will you blah 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 such and such to me? And you're like, oh wait a minute, this dude is sick. He's just nuts.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a fantastic movie. I love From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
I love the part too when he's telling Juliette Lewis, you know, do you want me to do what you had said before in the room? And she's like, trying to think of what it was.
I will.
Yeah, because I will.
I will do that. You know what?
I'll do that for you if you want.
I've got a few minutes right now. If you want to,
It's so sick.
It is.
you just got to let me suck your toes first. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And Clooney even uses that against Keitel. He's like, you do know your daughter's back there with my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
If her feet ain't in his mouth already, they're gonna be soon. You better get back there, Pop.
Yeah.
I love it too when he punches him in the shower, and then he wakes up later, and George Clooney's telling him, you know, that he just passed out from the pain from his hand.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good. I like that.
Yeah.
Good writing there.
Yeah. Lauren, you want to throw in anything on From Dusk Till Dawn?
It's a thoroughly all right movie.
Ooh.
I liked it when I saw it in theaters and never felt I needed to revisit it.
That's high praise coming from Lauren.
It's a goofy movie. That's what it really is, and I get that people like how it goes off the rails intentionally. It's just a movie that.
I've actually read Lauren's Letterboxd review of it, and it's only one sentence: needed more feet. That's it.
Well,
not enough.
The fact that you guys focused most of this conversation on the feet scene tells me that it's probably more along the lines of you guys wanted more feet,
That's a good solid 20 minutes of the movie, it seems like.
It seems like, well, Tarantino knows his audience. That's the thing. No, I mean, I saw it in the theater. I remember like kind of liking it, but like again, I as it grew its popularity, because it didn't do like it was an okay performer at the box office. It was not like a runaway blockbuster. So it kind of faded from memory for a little while and got lost to shuffle, and then got reborn in reputation. And I just was never part of that. It was a good evening out, and I didn't think I don't own the movie, and I probably never will.
I'll send you a copy.
Yeah. you know, when I was recovering, I got a lot of things in the mail, and some of them were things that people intentionally knew I didn't like. So you're not so far off base.
I think I was one of those people.
You were.
We all know what to send Lauren for Christmas this year. Just copies of From Dusk Till Dawn. DVDs, VHS, the Blu-ray, whatever.
Or
And
James
don't forget
Cameron.
the cool making of documentary Full Tilt Boogie.
Yeah.
That is a good dog.
Yeah. There's
I'm
actually
character the whole time.
I'm a Tarantino Mark. I love his dialogue and the way he writes dialogue and character moments, and you know the way he directs as well. This is a Rodriguez thing, so it has a little different energy to it. I don't know. Maybe some people might have a problem with that. I don't know. I just think it's one of those batshit crazy flicks that's just a lot of fun.
Yep.
And I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't expect it to change my worldview, but you know, it was a good time.
there's a trailer, a pilot trailer on YouTube for From Dusk Till Dawn that was shot back in '91, directed by Robert Kurtzman, which Robert Kurtzman was initially supposed to direct the movie, but they didn't feel like he had enough experience. And instead of George Clooney in the lead role, Day of the Dead's Joe Pilato is Seth Gecko.
Oh.
So check that out. Well, let's move on. Actually, we've got a video submission this week from Cameron. So let's see what's going on with. Ooh, that's the wrong button. Let's see what's going on with Cameron.
Watch which button you push, sir.
I know we don't want.
Last time that private video played.
All right, here we go.
Hey everybody, this is Cameron from Region Free, as well as the Obnoxious and Anonymous YouTube channel. I'm fairly certain that a great many of you who watch our channels individually or collectively here on Region Free probably collect physical media, whether it be DVDs and Blu-rays, or actual books and comic books, you name it. I'm sure a lot of you collect it. I'm sure a great many of you are like me, and your house is wall to wall with physical media. Now, streaming is coming in, whether it be Comixology in terms of comics, or streaming platforms. Lots of streaming platforms out there. There's this pull to jump on the streaming train, or whether to stay in the physical media world. Now, I am somebody who has embraced both. Why? Because I keep the physical media of the movies and TV shows that I want in my collection, that if they pulled off streaming, I can say I own this title in my collection. However, there are a lot of titles out there that I'm quite happy with just having a streaming version of out there. So if they pull it, I'm not going to be crying myself to sleep at night. Now, that being said, I'm sure a lot of you have seen that there have been a tremendous amount of Blu-ray and boutique label stores having massive sales over the last couple of weeks. Well, there's a reason for that. And the reason is the vast majority of us, and I'm sure a lot of you, have gotten your stimulus checks. And they know that that is like free money to them. So what they're going to do is they're just going to bombard us with sales. I mean, we're talking Severin and Scream Factory and Arrow and Vinegar Syndrome, and the boutique labels just went on and on. The only one who didn't try to attack our wallets was Criterion, and that's because they have set sales throughout the year. But that being said, I have seen people on my Facebook, on my social media accounts, laughing or crying. I'm not quite sure about how much money they've spent. I've seen screenshots of them blowing, $1,500 on titles because there's just a tremendous amount of sales. What happens is, the stimulus checks, we get them, and that's like throwing bread on the grass. And now the geese are all swarming us, wanting our breadcrumbs. Now, these boutique labels, yes, of course, they want to make sales. They want to make money. They want to stay in business, but they're also trying to stay alive. So it's hard for me to get mad or upset by the onslaught of sales out there. What I do is I just go through the sales, see if there's anything I want. But if there is, I pick it up. If not, then I don't. I don't beat myself up over it. I don't feel guilty if there's something or there's nothing that I want in their sales. Because remember, collectively, yes, we can make a difference in the physical media world. However, individually, we're not responsible for keeping these companies afloat. We can do, we can do our best. We can support the titles and the companies we want. But in the grand scheme of things, I remember back in the day, there was a Laserdisc store in my town, right? The one Laserdisc store. I bought so many Laserdiscs. I rented so many Laserdiscs, and they still went under. And I said, oh, man, I feel terrible. And they said, don't worry, because your sales, your rentals actually kept us afloat for a couple months. But closing was inevitable. So, yes, I do think in the grand scheme of things, physical media is coming to a close, at least on a wide scale. I was in Best Buy yesterday. They had one aisle devoted now to physical media, not two sides of the aisle, one side of the aisle. So I think in terms of, big retail stores, I think physical media is going to, there's soon going to be more Pop Funkos out there than physical media. But boutique labels are where it's at for right now. And that's cool because they can do, all their work online. So they don't have to pay overhead for, tremendous amount of employees across the nation, all that. So, I think these boutique labels are going to be around for a while, but just be aware that they are going to be starving for breadcrumbs. And so whenever they can, they're going to be doing these sales. Now that's good for us in a way, right? Because that means we'll be able to get some of these $50, $60 titles that come out for maybe, 30. But it also means that you need to save your breadcrumbs, because if you are a physical media collector, there will be sales coming. There's going to be titles you want. I'm just, be responsible as a collector, right? Get the titles you want. If you have a tremendous amount of titles that you don't watch, or you think, that was just a blind buy, sell those off if you can. Get the stuff you want, and support the companies you want. But just be aware that there is money to be made and money to be spent in those hills, and you just you got to be responsible as a collector out there. Don't break the bank. Make sure to pay your bills and your rent and your mortgage on time. But at the same time, support physical media where it's at. Also, don't be afraid of streaming. I understand that streaming is like, when it comes to collecting, but really, do you really want 20 seasons of Project Runway sitting on your shelves? I mean, come on. Nobody wants to have that much Project Runway on their shelf. So, so there's a time and place for streaming, and there's a time and place for physical media. So I'm not quite sure what this rant was about. I just want you to know that streaming is not always the enemy. Physical media is slowly shrinking down to a boutique label, and these boutique labels are going to be wanting our money. But don't break your bank. Get the titles you want. Sell off the titles you don't want. Curate your collection so that it is immaculate, the best it can be. Don't let me go into your collection and find some random Walmart title that you bought 8 years ago that is still in the wrapper and on DVD, and you thought maybe one day you get around to it. Watch it and either keep it or get rid of it, but you got to do something with it. And I'm speaking to myself as well. I'm literally looking in the mirror right now, telling myself that when I'm done with my film project, that's exactly what I got to do. I got to go through so many of these titles that I picked up years ago, go through them, watch them, decide to keep them, decide to get rid of them, and get ready, collect the breadcrumbs, because not only are the boutique labels coming for our money, and that's not a bad thing, but we all have bills to pay as well. So, all right, everybody, thanks for listening.
I'm just going to say, when it comes to Project Runway, speak for yourself. Right? I proudly display all the seasons of Project Runway in my collection.
I can honestly say I've never watched an episode or even thought of watching an episode or owning a season of it. But do you? That's fine.
What is Project Runway?
It
There
is
you go.
It is Heidi Klum. You know she's
That you're not helping.
a Victoria's Secret model.
Seal's wife.
The show where
I
she
fucking hate
creates
Seal.
it's for models. They make models. But the thing is, I've never watched it, and I won't.
I mean, I'm not saying like Seal the man should be clubbed like a seal on a pier, but I pretty much detest his music. So if the
Come
show's
on, Kiss from a Rose, you're not done with that
That's a
jam?
I'm out of here.
That's
Bye.
a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. We all know it, Lauren.
I had to hear that debut album like 3 times a day for like 6 months. It drove me absolutely out of my mind.
Can you hit a few bars? You want to hit a few bars of it right now?
I compare it to a kiss from the
No, that's not the first album. So, no, it was that.
We're talking about Kiss from the Road.
Solitary sister, is there still a part of you that wants to live? That shit
I'm not familiar with
drove
that.
me nuts.
I rock Kiss from a Rose to this day.
I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, listen.
I'll send a gift basket.
Please do. Make it all Seal merchandise.
I will
I'd love
send
it.
you a dead baby seal.
That's good eating right there. That's good eating.
Hey, Kentucky supermarkets. What are you gonna do?
Oh man, you get that good seal meat, some otter. Oh
It
man,
pairs well with squirrel.
Squirrel is more of a, that's kind of like the tuna of Kentucky eating. We're more in the when you want to talk about the filet mignon, you're talking about some good old possum. You know what I mean?
Hey, we have a possum we feed every night.
I do.
She's huge. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I do too. I had one for years. I think he came last year. I don't remember. Yeah, big old possum. He gets along with the cats too. They all just wait. They all just wait on the porch for the cat food. They all just get along. So that's cool.
Possums don't care.
Yeah. So has the stimulus, has it stimulated any Blu-ray purchases for anybody?
No, it stimulated some house repairs.
Cool.
Couple Blu-ray.
Well, not really, but yeah.
Blu-ray purchase.
What'd you pick up, Monty?
I picked up I think it's the Shout Factory Phantasm for the original one. It's like I think it's Shout Factory Phantasm Blu-ray. That was pretty cool. I picked up Hereditary, which I have not seen that film yet at all.
Oh, cool.
And I want to watch that tonight. And then I had to pick up Reservoir Dogs. I need a little bit of Tarantino in there. And I think what was the other? I think I picked up Saw 2. Nobody go nuts over that. I love Donnie Wahlberg in that movie. He's awesome.
I love Saw 2.
I really like that movie.
It's an awesome film.
That's my favorite of the whole series.
I like that film.
The
Absolutely,
Phantasm.
Jamie.
The Phantasm release, is that the 4K or the 4K restoration?
Yeah,
okay.
It is.
That's the Welgo USA release.
Oh, is that okay? Because I picked it up kind of like I saw it in the slot. There was like a bunch of them, and I picked that one up, and it was a blind buy.
Yeah, it's a good one. That's a good one. Anybody else any Blu-ray pickups with that stimulus money?
Well, not with the stimulus money because I still haven't seen it. But my pickups in the last 2 weeks, the Memorial Valley Massacre, which I kind of like, kind of don't like, but it was real cheap where I found it used. Fulci's Psychic, I upgraded from DVD to Blu-ray, which is a great Black Cat side story, but Dream Maniac on DVD, which is an absolute piece of crap movie that I have a soft spot for. The great Barbarella on Blue, upgraded from my DVD.
Classic.
Here's one I'm most excited about, actually. I picked up the original television version of The Woman in Black that scarred an entire generation of British kids, which I have this is a legitimately really scary film. It's a great. I'm not a big fan of the remake
No.
It's just kind of there, and I also picked up off the director's website the signed Blu-ray I found,
Oh, cool.
which apparently there's less than 5 left in his stock. So
I actually bought the DVD off of I forget where I got it, but I got it. It was pre-stimulus, but I wanted to get the DVD.
yeah, I had the DVD that I bought from eBay off. It was a Kickstarter disc, but now I'm going to pass that along to someone I know will love it because I have the Blu-ray. It wasn't expensive either. I think with shipping it's less than $20. So
Great freaking movie.
it really is. It is, of course, a variation on one of my favorite 60s films, which is I Start Counting.
Oh, really?
Oh wow.
Which I Start Counting is a great film. If you can find this film, which is tough, do yourself the favor. It's about a girl who's in love with maybe her older stepbrother, but she's a very unreliable narrator, so he might just be a brother. And one day she sees him throw out a package, and she goes and takes the package because she's obsessive and opens it up, and there's a sweater she knitted for him covered in blood.
Ooh.
And there's a psycho killer killing young schoolgirls in town.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Oh, yeah.
And also you can see how Found was inspired by it, right?
Yeah, I like that. That sounds really interesting. I'll have to
but it's very 1969, so you have to love that time period, and I do.
Very cool. I was going to ask Stingray if anybody else any Blu-ray pickups with that stimulus money, that sweet stimulus money.
Not yet, but I'm sure I will make some. I spent my money on
the couch.
Man, I'm getting to the point where, how many times do I want to rebuy the same movie? And unfortunately, and I've also found that some older movies don't necessarily benefit from Blue. Some movies it's better to watch on DVD because I don't want to see the seams. I don't want to see the strings, right? Because it's not a great movie, but Halloween, was it 6? When the little kid's in his room and the man in black's in there trying to talk to him, and on the DVD, the voice is coming out of the dark part of his room, but on the Blu-ray, you can literally see the guy standing there, and you can see his face.
Yeah.
So there are certain aspects of high definition that kind of ruin movies that were not shot with high definition in mind. So I'm happy with the DVD on some of that stuff. But to Cameron's point, I have embraced streaming. I do have HBO Max now. I have Shudder. I have Amazon Prime. I have no problem with streaming movies. So we talked on the previous show, probably in 2015, about when we thought the demise of physical media would occur. And we some of us predicted, somewhere around 2020, we would start seeing the effects of the decline. And it's kind of about a year late, maybe, a year early for some, a year late for others. And we also kind of predicted that the special collector's $50 edition would kind of become the thing, because that would be the audience that they would start targeting, would be people like us that want the extra doodads and the extra things that come with it. Mm-hmm. So they would start charging $50, $60, $70 for an edition of a movie that you used to be able to buy for $10. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we're in the process of, which we kind of saw coming, so it's not like a big shock to me. And I also use streaming for movies, like he says, that I know I won't buy, but still have an interest in watching. Mm-hmm. So it's good. And I was talking to Lauren before the show. I'm trying to, force myself to watch things I wouldn't normally watch, just to expand the palette a little bit and to have more of an opinion, because I feel like if I don't see it, I don't have an opinion. It's not fair for me to criticize something I haven't seen. Mm-hmm. So even if it's something I don't really have an interest in, why not watch it? It's there. And streaming is great for that. Amazon Prime and all that kind of stuff. I could catch up on the DC universe, although I'll never buy Aquaman. I'll watch it on HBO Max. I don't have. I haven't watched the Snyder cut yet because I still haven't seen the Whedon cut. I still haven't seen Wonder Woman. I still haven't seen Aquaman. So streaming's great for catching up on that kind of stuff, because I'm sure as hell not going to buy any of it. So streaming is a nice little, add-on for things. if really if physical media completely goes away, I already own probably 80% of anything I would buy anyway. There's maybe a few stragglers around that I don't have that I would like to have, but really, I don't know if I want to pay $50, $60, $70 for it.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of money. I mean, for some people, that's a lot of money. For some people, it's like, man, that's still kind of steep. And for me, I'm one of those. You know, it's like $50. I got to really, really like a movie to pay $50 for it. I don't care what the cover looks like. Just because you put a fancy slipcover on it and a couple of other things or whatever, that's not going to really seal the deal for me. But to his point, I think he had a good point. And also, I've got a pile of stuff I need to go through of things that are still wrapped up that I bought. Like those Black Friday specials, you know, you go out there and you go, oh, that's cheap. So you buy it because it's cheap, but then you never watch it.
Never watch it, yeah.
I still got the plastic on it. I've had movies I've had for like 4 or 5 years. I've never took the plastic off. So why is it there? Well, that's a good question. You know, Cameron raises a good point. So it was a great video.
A couple of recent things I picked up. The Code Red release for the Forest. Gave this one a second chance after many, many years. It's interesting.
It's a good nature documentary. I'm just not sure it's a good horror film.
And I got Full Circle. A couple of other new ones I got that aren't around here. The Vinegar Syndrome Killer Party, which was I love that movie so much. Really, really nice release for that film. And you mentioned one of the things I love about like seeing a brand new restoration for a movie is that, you know, it gives away a lot of things like you were saying there, Mike, but it also shows you, like, you know, like in the case of like the Madman Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray, you're like, damn, half that movie's shot out of focus. Like you notice, like, you know, like that's out of focus. They shot that out of focus. Why didn't anybody notice that? Or you'll notice little technical issues. So high definition isn't every movie's best friend. I've noticed.
What was that one Madman release where they changed the blue to red?
Yeah.
What's up with that? Yeah. I mean, I love physical media as much as all you guys do, but if it goes the way of the dinosaur, then that's what's going to happen. I mean, I understand having a backup on physical. If it's something you really, really like, understand that licensing rights do expire.
Yeah. And
movies come and go from streaming services. And what was that one company that went out of business? It was like Vudu. And if you owned any titles on their site, they told you to download them because once they closed down the servers, they were gone.
Yeah.
Oh, that was.
I can't remember which one. I don't remember.
It was like a competitor to Vudu. It's like if you buy a movie with the digital copy back when that was a thing.
Yeah.
It was like there was like two companies. One was Vudu and one was another one, and that was the one that went out. I think Vudu just survived because of I think they're the ones that are associated with Walmart. So I think that's why they survived, but the other one didn't. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you have what if you don't have a large enough hard drive to hold your 150 movie collection on a streaming site?
No. Yeah.
You know, you paid for those movies. Technically, you own them, but if you don't download them, they're gone, and then you lose them. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to have, for the most important ones, yeah, definitely. And if you want to have the best possible copy, sure, why not? But I'm already pretty much there where I've purchased everything I want to purchase. There's a couple things that come out every once in a while that make me go, ooh, I wouldn't mind having that. Mm-hmm. But between my physical collection and what's available on streaming, I feel pretty good. I'm pretty. I don't think I'm as hardcore of a collector as some of you guys, so I understand that. Opinions may vary. But when I tell a normal person, I've got 1,000 DVDs and 500 Blu-rays, the blank look that they give me, like, how the hell would you have 1,000? I don't even know if I've seen 1,000 movies. You have 1,000 DVDs, and then 500 Blu-ray of the same movies. You're like, what's wrong with you? So normal people, I have a problem,
right?
But compared to other people, kind of normal. I don't know. Just me.
I also picked up. I know Andrew. Hey, isn't that Devon Graham was in here recently, or was in the chat just a little while ago? I saw a video of his, and he was talking about the movie Bloody Movie. So I went and ordered that. It's not arrived yet, and I'm sure this is a bootleg. I don't know, but it's a DVD of Dream Demon and one of my favorite super obscure, ultra low budget USA Up All Night flicks, Dream a Little Evil. So probably a bootleg, but you know, it's on physical. So I'll waiting for those to come in. And also Dan asked a good question, since we're talking about physical media. Question for everyone: what is the best movie you think someone should buy right now, and why? My answer to that is clearly The Forest. The Forest. Do you want to watch a slash? It's not even really. It's not even really a slasher movie. You know what? I'll save it for my review. So if you can't find The Forest, I don't know what are some good Blu-ray releases that are out right now. And we're going to transition into some upcoming Blu-ray releases here shortly also.
Where's the one that I just bought?
The Saint Maud Zavi exclusive Steelbook Blu-ray is just an amazing release. The film looks better than it looked in theaters. So
the Event Horizon Scream Factory Blu-ray that took so long to come out is out, and it looks really good. Some nice new extras on there. So if you are a fan of Event Horizon, that is the release to own. At least right now, until it comes out on 4K. But that's the release to own right now. So that might answer your question right there, Dana.
The Zavi exclusive going for around $85.
is it now?
Does that sound about right?
No, it was like 25 when I bought it.
It might be sold out.
Maybe out of print.
Okay, well then sell some plasma and go buy your copy.
Yep, sold out.
Shout out to Stone for the $5 super chat. Thank you, sir. Picked up the out of print Eureka Classics limited edition of Cujo for $100 on eBay. Great lengthy interviews and bonus disc with 101 minute Q&A with D. Wallace. Wow.
That's one I've got on DVD, and I'm good. And I love the movie though. Cujo's amazing. I think it's an underrated King adaptation, but wow, $100.
Yeah.
I'd pay that for if it had a 101-minute interview with the dog.
Thank you for that, Stone. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I would maybe pay that to watch Maximum Overdrive at Stephen King's house with him there present, and just to pick his brain. Come on, man, what don't you like about this movie? Or watch The Shining with him. That would really get him pissed off.
Oh, that'd be entertaining.
Yeah, because he likes the TV version better, right? He likes the Steven Weber version.
Well, he wrote it.
Yeah.
Actually, I went to Walmart and I saw Maximum Overdrive up there. That last special edition one they had, it was going for like $30. I was like, what?
That's the Vestron one.
I was like, okay.
Those Vestron releases aren't cheap, man. The last two they did were very good price, but yeah. All right, so let's transition from talking about physical media to talking about some upcoming physical media releases with our buddy Garrett, Born to be Rad, and the Rad Review. Here we go.
Rad report. What's up, Garrett here, and I'm interrupting your regularly scheduled program to bring you the newest edition of the Rad Report, where I go through the physical media releases and news for the next couple weeks. All right, as far as new releases, we actually have a pretty slow next couple weeks. It looks like we're getting Spaceballs in 4K, we're getting Willy's Wonderland, and Kino's releasing North Shore and The Wildlife, two titles that I've been kind of waiting for a while to hit that Blu-ray format. We know Vinegar Syndrome's April titles like Rush Week and Last Gasp are available as well. that seems like pretty much it for the first half of April. All right, on to some of the news. We have quite a bit of pre-orders that have gone up. We have Saw in 4K up for pre-order. We also have Some Kind of Wonderful in a Blu-ray Steelbook, which honestly kind of sucks because I just bought that big set from John Hughes, and that was the only way to get Some Kind of Wonderful. That's kind of how it was almost being promoted, and then only a month later to have Some Kind of Wonderful coming out in a nice edition Blu-ray Steelbook is kind of a bummer. Don't think I'm going to double dip on that, but I do wish I would have probably waited. Kino announces Career Opportunities making its way to Blu-ray, which I'm super excited about. I love that one. And Code Red will be releasing The Being. All right, a lot of news from Vinegar Syndrome. So they just announced the 4K of Six String Samurai. I've actually never seen this one. I wasn't jumping the gun to grab it, but if anybody has any opinions on that movie, let me know. I would love to hear what that thing is about. They also announced Surf 2 will be released very soon, and also a little compilation of TV terrors. They announced for their April bundle, they're gonna have Homegrown Horrors, The Cellar, All American Murder, and Grave Secrets. A lot of those I don't even own, a lot of those I've never even seen, but they all look really good, really up my alley. But guys, feel free to check me out at Born to Be Rad, and now get back to the rest of Region Free.
You're muted, Piz.
Thank you, Garrett, for another rad review. Always great to see those. He keeps us up to date on what's going on in the world of physical media. So thank you for that. Six String Samurai. Anybody familiar with that film?
Never heard of that film.
Heard of it, never seen it.
Heard of it, never seen it too. Lauren, familiar with Six String?
I haven't seen it. Reputation. It was like a I don't know, college theater type midnight movie type thing, but it seems like something that'd be as annoying as chewing on Gobstopper to me, So,
What about
I will not be buying it.
What about Surf 2?
Yeah, no
love. Okay, I am kind of interested in seeing the homegrown horrors. What those what's going on with those? I'm kind of interested in seeing those. So,
listen, I love Vinegar Syndrome because they take chances where no one else would, and that they're not, indebted to any one of us. They're trying to hit all this stuff that no one else will touch. So, someone out there is a huge fan of each of these titles, and I'm really glad for them.
Some Kind of Wonderful.
I
love that film. I'm sorry. My sister used to watch that film when I was a kid. I think that's a really good movie.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites of all of the. I know he didn't direct it, John Hughes, but it's still one of my favoriteest movies that's associated with him.
I think it's pretty underrated.
It is.
Yeah, I love that movie.
And Cameron keeps calling me Miss Amanda Jones, which cracks me up. So, why?
Dave, I don't have the Killer Party Blu-ray. I just have the Warner Archives DVD. I don't think it got a Blu-ray. Well, no, actually, it did get a Blu-ray. It was like a horror pack exclusive or something like that. So I don't know anything about the quality, but I do love Killer Party. I wish it would get. I wish Vinegar Syndrome would get their hands on it.
Isn't Scream Factory coming out with Kong 76 on Blu-ray? Wasn't that one of the that's a nostalgic favorite of mine. It's one of the first movies I remember seeing in the movie theater as a kid. Going way back to 76. I was probably 7 or 8. I have it on DVD. I don't know. Part of me is like, I think that's good enough, even though I'm a fan of the flick, and be like, it'd be kind of neat to have it on Blu-ray. I don't know if I want to fork out the money for it. I mean, I don't really watch the DVD that much, and it's available on HBO Max if I really want to watch it real quick. And truthfully, it's got to be something. Streaming's made me as lazy as everybody else. Plus, I'm busy anyway, right? So to actually turn on the television and put a film in the Blu-ray player, to sit back and make, it's just so much easier just to watch it on the computer, on a streaming thing. Or I think I'm just getting lazy, but I don't know. It's one of those titles. When I first heard it, I went, "Oh, wait, I kind of already have that. Do I And Some Kind of Wonderful. If you guys like it, that's great. I mean, you can have my copy. I'm just does nothing for me.
He'll go and pull it off the shelf behind him and send it to you. So just get in touch.
I don't know.
That
I've
movie
seen
is
it once,
some
like
kind
on
of wonderful, but it's
HBO
not
back in the
regular
day.
kind of wonderful.
Come on, Mary Stuart Masterson. Wait, is that who that is? The
Yep.
blonde? Oh, I love her.
It's got
Oh,
Leah Thompson in it too, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That should be an automatic like for me, but no,
that's
nothing.
automatic. That's a 10 plus.
And Eric Stoltz is hot in that.
Oh man, the original Marty McFly. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'd rather watch The Wildlife.
Dan points out that the Horror Pack Killer Party Blu-ray was not the 86 Killer Party, the slasher. So that's good. That's good.
Okay.
That's good. It's a different Killer Party. It's not my Killer Party. Hashtag. So let's move on here. Let's see, Lauren, what have you got for us this week?
Well, I sent you a video that apparently you didn't download.
Hold on. Because be a man and wing it like the rest of us.
No.
No.
Try no.
All right. I gave him an opportunity. Here we go. Here's what Lauren's got for us this week.
In biology, different species of animals are categorized using a system called taxonomy. The cow falls into a clade called ungulates, and so does the giraffe and the water buffalo and the hippopotamus. The lemur does not. But why don't we invite this ring-tailed monstrosity into the bovine party? Well, we define clades based on their broad similarities. In this case, ungulates are defined as large mammals with hooves. And while it might be possible to put boots on a lemur if you don't mind your face getting torn off, they just don't have the natural wardrobe to get the invite. Now, movies and books work a lot like this. We recognize the Western based on its setting and what kind of characters would live there. Science fiction must include futurist concepts, or at least a suitable setting. Romance is all about middle-aged divorcees meeting through chance at the grocery store. And horror? Now that's a bit different, isn't it? Because there's no real rules about where the story has to take place or how technology is involved in that world. And there's certainly nothing about two people reaching for the same last tub of I can't believe it's not butter out of the supermarket freezer. Recently, like clockwork, a tweet appeared asking the question, is Alien a horror movie? I've seen this so many times, not just with Ridley Scott's film, but in regards to Jaws, Silence of the Lambs, Jurassic Park, and Night of the Hunter. The poster went on to say that horror can't take place in space without becoming science fiction. Now, I'm not even going to strap on my armor for this battle. It's not worth it. My definition of horror is any work that seeks to elicit a response from within an array of dark emotions such as fear, paranoia, disgust, anxiety, distrust, gallows humor, or any number of other negatively charged states. That is, if it means to make you hurt, or afraid, or look over your shoulder, or laugh at death, it fits into the horror genre somehow. And everyone's definitions are going to be different, but this is the only way we can include something like The Haunting in the same genre as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's necessary. So all those films that I mentioned qualify. Alien certainly does, but why do so many even refuse to categorize even some of the genre's most cherished titles as, well, horror movies? Why do they insist that the majestic plains zebra shouldn't be allowed to hang with the common camel? I mean, Hannibal Lecter has the odd number toes for the job, doesn't he? Socially, horror has always been an outsider's genre. These stories of morality and mortality strike those that belong to a simpler moral code as ugly and inferior to works that explore positively charged emotions. Sure, The Entity and A Christmas Carol both put protagonists into close quarters with ghosts, but one is seen as wholesome and the other, well, not much more than pornography. But wait, one story is a general treatise about being kind to your fellow man, and the other is about the long-term impact of sexual assault. Don't both of these stories have important things to say and deserve respect? Not, they seem to say, if it's horror. Horror is for the bottom feeders and the degenerates, the lowest tier of humanity's ethical evolution. To them, horror cannot be great. It can't speak to the central themes of our humanity. So, since they can't go all George Lucas and recut Relic, so that Emily Mortimer shoots first at her mother's dementia, they simply deny that it is a horror film at all. One of the most popular user reviews of Relic on Google reads,
"This is an incredible film. What at first appears to be an excellent horror or ghost story grows into a striking and moving metaphor for dementia."
As if it can't be both. It doesn't grow from one to the other. It always was that thing. It was that meaningful exploration and a horror film. It isn't really a horror crowd are pearl-clutching moral antiques living in a much more complex time. They're so worried about protecting their intellectual modesty that they essentially become the human version of those see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil monkeys. And hey, monkeys are primates, just like you and I, and maybe if they're unwilling to open their eyes and ears and maybe join a real conversation, we should turn our attention to their feet. Because sheep are ungulates too.
See, I told you Lauren was in defeat. I told you. That proved it right there.
And here he was lecturing us.
I have way too much time on my hands.
So yeah, this whole debate over is a horror movie, can a horror movie take place in space, and just absolutely ridiculous. I was actually messaging Todd Farmer about something I won't mention here, maybe something cool down the line, but he goes, "Why is Jason X trending on Twitter?" And I went, "What?" And sure enough, Jason X was trending on Twitter. It was part of the debate. Like, you know, this is a horror movie that takes place in space. Event Horizon was trending. That's a horror movie that takes place. So I mean, I thought it was cool that has there ever been a Friday the 13th movie trend on Twitter before? I mean, maybe the 2009 remake, but you know, I mean, Jason X was trending on Twitter. But yeah, it's such a ridiculous thing, you know.
It just seems to come down to if people think if something is respectable and wide enough of appeal that it can't be a horror film.
Right.
They're just dismissive of the genre, and I think it's a cover argument. They don't want to have the real argument, which is that they might actually like some horror movies. They might be down there in the trenches with us.
What is the problem with mixing sci-fi and horror anyway? Because honestly, I think they go together like peas and carrots. I mean, if you think about it, some of our favorite, at least for me, some of my favorite horror movies are set in space. Jason X, Event Horizon, and Alien, all three are set in space, and they're totally, to me, horror.
Yeah,
I mean,
they are horror. The setting does not make them science fiction. It doesn't. Science fiction is really about speculative futures, and it deals with technology and beliefs about where the future will really lie. Jason X is not trying to tell you what the future looks like. That is not the purpose of the film. And neither is Alien, by the way. Although the window dressing is a lot more extensive and makes a lot more, primary sense than what's in Jason X. But the core purpose of that film is to freak you out.
Where does The Day the Earth Stood Still fall into that category? Because see, to me, it's both horror. Something's flying around in here. It's both horror and sci-fi kind of mixed, because I mean, it's talking about,
what's the ultimate message of the movie? Because that's your answer.
The future,
what's the message of the movie though?
That we need to start looking better at our future so we can start acting on it now.
So the point is not to horrify us. It's to uplift us ultimately, which would be much more in line with science fiction than with horror.
I don't know. I was kind of scared of it. I mean,
not everything that is scary in part is a horror film. I'm not saying that, but if the primary reason it exists is to elicit those dark emotions, if that's the primary reason, then it fits in the genre.
Maybe.
And listen, some things can be squares and rectangles. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in the case of something like Alien, even weighing it as like 1/3 science fiction film is too heavy for me, because that movie is a fear machine. That's what it was designed as.
Eliciting dark emotions, though, can inspire good. I mean, if it's if it's a alien coming down from space saying that we're bad because we treat our Earth bad, and so because he's a higher level being, he's going to kill us all. That seems a little serial killer-ish to me.
The beginning of E.T. is supposed to be scary. I laughed at it even as a kid. Does that make it a horror movie? No.
God. Hate that movie so much.
No, but
I hate E.T. too.
No, I do see what you're saying, Lauren, is that Alien, and I would agree. I saw that pop up. But Alien is a horror film because really, it's not even at its core. Right at the top, it starts like a haunted house thing. I mean, even the way the titles come up, going into the ship, the way they reveal the face hugger, is all made to make you feel uncomfortable, to squirm. Even with the android of Ash, I mean, he even comes like a slasher. You know, so it is a horror film. I don't get where people say that it's not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's I don't.
It's a
understand
monster movie, definitely. So that puts it in the horror genre for me right there. Maybe it's some of the political elements, like the reason the crew is expendable because the company wants the alien for military purposes or some other type of purpose, and so it could be like a political thriller or a sci-fi thing. It's got a lot of elements to it, but when it comes down to it, it's a monster movie.
Right.
So therefore, that qualifies it for me as a horror film. If you want to call it sci-fi horror, I don't care, but it's still a horror film. But I think sometimes the gatekeeping gets a little weird for me, and I just don't bother. I didn't take the bait. I didn't join the conversation. Although it was cool to see Jason X trend because hey,
yeah, it was a ridiculous argument that somehow took over Twitter and everybody was debating. It was just kind of silly.
I also saw another debate about Mounds versus Almond Joy. So if Almond Joy exists, why is there Mounds? That was like a serious debate. I was like, are you kidding me?
That's the beauty of Twitter right there.
I'm like, if your life is so empty that you have nothing better to do than argue the existence of a candy bar.
Have they ever heard sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't?
I'm not even going to go into the differences between the two because it's not important. Who gives a shit?
Almonds.
It was on TV. I walked past the TV. It's on the news. They're talking about Mounds versus. I'm like, slow news day? What the fuck? Wow. I mean, maybe idiocracy. We've people are going to start watering their lawn with Gatorade.
We're getting close.
We're there, boy.
We're getting close.
On My Balls. That's the new hit show. Fucking hell.
That's not funny at the moment.
It's too true, right? Too soon.
Way too soon.
I mean, let's not overlook the best horror movie in space, and I'm talking about Hellraiser Bloodline.
Oh,
it's followed closely behind by the Leprechaun in Space.
I was going to say you can't sleep on Leprechaun in Space.
Oh, Leprechaun 4 is awesome.
or Dracula 3000. Is that the one where Dracula's in space?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the pinnacle of that series.
Is Jason Scott Lee in that?
No.
He's not in that one.
No. Coolio is in that one.
Oh, God. Oh, I'm sold. I got to go watch it now, Piz.
Coolio is in that one.
And if you thought Busta Rhymes added something special to Halloween Resurrection, you have not seen anything until you see Coolio in Dracula 3000.
Uh-huh.
That's very, very true. I think Lauren brings up a good point about gatekeeping. And somebody actually mentioned it in the chat too about how, my buddy Jan Man says, people still call Silence of the Lambs a thriller, not a horror movie. It's a horror movie. The thriller tag is usually attached to a movie.
It's more respectable.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to call it horror because horror is just, a scotch away from porn. Actually, porn is probably more respected in some.
That goes all the way back to the beginning of Hollywood, that if you did too many B movies, what they considered B movies, that ruined your career. Or if you went to a television show and you were a movie actor, you were never coming back to movies because now you're a television actor. And a lot of the stars of the early Friday the 13th films, they were told by their agents to leave that off of their resume.
Yeah.
I mean, so since the beginning of film, really, I mean, thinking about it, films that started out with like Nosferatu and Metropolis and all these other things, and all of a sudden now it's taboo. I mean, it ruined Bela Lugosi's career. He's Dracula, and there's nothing more. He couldn't hardly get a job after that. So this kind of a thing has been in existence. This prejudice against horror has been around since the beginning, and it's never been accepted as a viable genre. And that's why the people that like it also get put down, because if they recognize you know, as an actual fan, then they have to recognize horror as a legitimate genre.
I aim to squash that. I aim to squash that shit. And I've been aiming to squash that shit since I was in high school, because like my friends, none of them, I remember the first day I went to a new school. I didn't know anybody. I knew a couple people who I'd met through dating, but I didn't know hardly anyone. And that first week was tough, but I started talking with people, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I'm into horror. And they're like, oh, I don't like the horror movies. Oh, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? Why? Are you crazy? That's the best kind of movie out there. That's got action, it's got suspense, it's got gore, it's fun, it makes you excited. What is wrong with you people? Y'all got to be so timid all the time watching like all these little rom-coms. I hate rom-coms. I really, really do. They're boring and I'm sick of them. And I want to see more people watching more exciting things. And the stigma with horror has to go. It's got to go. I'm sick and tired of it. It's got to go, because there's been ample proof, especially over the last 2 or 3 decades, that horror is well liked by many. Saw being a huge, you know, Final Destination movies, Saw, the Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. They were more marketable than most things. So I don't understand this stigma staying on. I think that one of our aims as a group should be to kill that stigma, to squash it, to smash it, and start getting people to think in a different way. Because anybody who's too scared to watch something, I think they don't do it because they're actually scared. I actually think that most people, not everybody, but most people are just trying to be part of the crowd. And I actually think that horror movies are way more popular than people think.
Well, look at the conventions. Most conventions are horror conventions or sci-fi.
Yeah.
But you don't see any Bridges of Madison County conventions.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like, this is a legitimate hardcore fan base with a legitimate genre that they love, but they still, you're not going to see too many horror films. Not that I would watch the Oscars, but you're not really going to see too many of those type of films or actors in those films get the nod, even though maybe some of the best performances of the year would be in one of those films.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really sad. Unless somebody like Martin Scorsese does Dracula, and then that's a little more highbrow.
Right.
But
so how we can start to crush this horrible stereotype is really that we should start really, first of all, standing up, which we've all done, and I think our audience have all done, but don't make it something that you're closeted about. You'll like horror films. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. The second thing is to stop cannibalizing each other. It's okay to have differences of opinion, but it's not okay to start questioning other people. Saying, is Alien a horror film, has an underlying text, right? Which says, well, if you like horror films, then you probably like things that are worse than Alien.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not cool. There's people out there, I'm sure, who hate the original Alien. They're wrong, but they're allowed to be wrong, right? And it's beautiful that they are wrong, because that provides something for us to talk about. If we all like the same movies and the same genres, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know?
Indeed.
That's the way I feel about Aliens. People who don't love it, they're just really wrong and really not intelligent people. But I mean, it's okay. They can be that way. You know, there's lots of colors in the rainbow.
Well, there's something to be said about the madness of crowds. Whereas the more people that proclaim the same thing, the less people that are intelligent actually are driven to that conclusion. So
that sounds like a very unintelligent thing. Christian is in the chat. One of our birthday boys is in the chat, and he wants to know where David Lynch's films fall on this genre spectrum.
I do not consider David Lynch horror at all.
I do.
I do not. I mean, I consider that it has horror elements, but I do think for the most part he makes thrillers.
I think everything after Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me are metaphysical horror films.
Really?
Everything before that are in different genres, whether it be science fiction, whether it be straight drama, but with the exception of Straight Story, which
Right.
is obviously the odd duck out. But everything else, I would firmly put in the genre.
I don't know what to call his films. I remember watching Wild at Heart and kind of being a little bit perplexed, kind of like, love story.
It's
Alternate reality, because it's completely
There you go.
detached from this one.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's not a bad thing, though. I like Lost Highway. I like Wild at Heart. I like some of his stuff. I mean, I don't like it all. Did he do Naked Lunch?
no.
No,
Cronenberg.
because
Rose
Cronenberg.
Cronenberg.
okay. Well,
Oh, yeah,
see,
Peter
that could have been a Lynch film if you watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes out of left field with a bunch of wow. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
But I like Cronenberg for the same reason, because he has some of the elements that Lynch has. Not quite as off the chain, but I don't know. I guess maybe Lynch has proven to be an acquired taste. I mean, I like his stuff. I don't dislike it. I'm not the Twin Peaks type fan that a lot of people are, and that's fine. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that love Twin Peaks, and that's great.
Me.
I'd rather watch Wild at Heart, but that's just me. But we can all say that Lynch has at least brought something to the table that's valuable in the world of film.
Yes, I have to say, I mean, I don't want to say like I'm a super fan and I think he has no faults, because of course I will pick out his faults if I find faults, but for the most part, I think he's a better filmmaker than most other filmmakers out there. And I really wish people would. I mean, Inland Empire was awful, though. That's just my opinion. And if somebody out there likes Inland Empire, that's good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. But I have a hard time sitting and watching that one, and I don't know what to say about it. I don't know if it's just because he was just experimenting, or season 3 is kind of a mess too when it comes to Twin Peaks, which is a whole nother. I will be doing my own show on my own channel about that, so tune in for that. But for me, he was the first director, like the first man besides Steven Spielberg that I ever knew, like his name, first director's name. So, or maybe George Lucas, I might have known his name at a younger age too, but for me it was Spielberg, Lynch, and Lucas, I guess. And they've stuck with me. They've stuck with me through the whole thing. So I don't know. I guess it depends on who you are and what you grew up watching. If I would have never saw The Elephant Man when I did, would I even be a Lynch fan? I'm not sure. I don't know. But thank you, second grade Mrs. Germain, for showing that to us.
Hey, Mike, how crazy is it that Cronenberg reads William Burroughs' Naked Lunch and goes, no, not crazy enough. I got to go further.
Yeah, I was like, this one's for Lynch. I mean, it kind of felt like it.
Yeah, no, I mean, when the probably strangest acid casualty of the Beat Generation isn't weird enough for you, you know Cronenberg was making his final weird movie.
Yeah. But Elephant Man, definitely give that one a shout, because I really enjoyed that. I thought that was probably one of his least weird movies, though. I mean, because it's like a real story about an actual guy, and brought a lot of sympathy to the character, and that was a really good flick. Yeah, of course, Blue Velvet with Dennis Hopper. Who can't enjoy that one? That's probably the one everybody goes to when they think about Lynch. Yeah.
That's why there's a Blue Velvet couch back here now.
He's probably an acquired taste for a normal person. They're not going to go, what the hell? You got problems, man. You like this? Be like, oh, yeah, I do.
I try to convert normal people to weird, So.
That's a tough thing. It's a tough sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you got this week, Stingray?
I've got belated sequels. So basically sequels that was a number of years before they came out after the original or whatever sequels that they're following. When I started compiling this list, I was kind of surprised at how many there were that I didn't really think about. Of course, there's always, the Phantom Menace is a big one that comes to mind, like Tron Legacy, something like that. That's like 30 years after the original, however long it was. But I got a bunch of them here that I was looking at. A lot of bad ones, handful of good ones, I think. Let's go with some bad ones first here. Blues Brothers 2000.
What were
I
they
forgot
thinking?
about that movie.
I just thought it was fun.
Was that a tax write-off? I mean, damn.
Had to be.
Wow. But, I mean, this may be the worst on the list. Caddyshack 2.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awful.
But that wasn't really too belated, though, was it?
Yeah, I guess you're right. It really wasn't that many years later, but
Was that
what,
8
maybe
years later?
It still shouldn't exist, but
5-6 years or something like that.
It's bad.
it's bad, though.
But and this isn't one I know is going to divide people. One of the birthday boys, especially. Godfather 3. That's one movie that I just despise, and I know Christian's a big fan of it. So
There's some okay stuff in it.
this feels unnecessary to me. But
Yeah, I mean it's really unnecessary. Yeah, Mario Puzo needed a payday, and that somehow turned into the third Godfather movie. It was the third novel and the third movie.
Wasn't there a novel where Michael wound up being gay?
What? Really?
Is that not true?
Jay, I think that was a different book you were reading.
Okay, maybe I'm going to write that one. I may write that one.
Although they're the first 50 pages of the original the Godfather novel are all about Sonny's penis size. So for real, that's what the first 50 pages are about. There's a visual reference to it in the movie. If you look over at Kay's talking with the other girls at the table, and Sonny's wife is going. And that's the only reference to the first 50 pages of the novel.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. What are some good belated sequels?
Okay, well, I've got some good ones here. One I enjoy quite a bit, Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Great
Good
movie.
one.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Blade Runner 2049 I thought was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Sleep, I know we'll probably have some mixed opinions on that one, but I enjoyed it.
I love
I like
Dr.
it.
Sleep. Love it.
How about The Color of Money? I thought that was pretty decent.
That's awesome, and that's a good pick.
That was good.
And that's pretty much all I got for good ones. There's a few I haven't seen on here. The second Train Spotting film, I never saw that.
Oh, it's good. You should see it.
It's
I
good.
liked it a lot. I thought it was not as good as the first, of course, because it doesn't have that major shock factor, but it's still got its own. It's got its own thing. It's good. It's worth a
What
watch.
about Bill and Ted 2? What about that one?
I haven't seen it yet, but I probably will like it just for being fun.
Well, I guess Monty, we can throw Coming to America in there also. Right?
Oh God, it's so.
I know you're a big fan of that one.
Oh God, Coming to America too. It was awful. It was very awful. Not funny at all.
I'm not going to waste my time. 'Cause I'm just such a fan of the original. I've got no reason to.
I saw the trailer and it just had train wreck all over it. It was just like, oh, that's no.
It's like, why did they wait so long to do it? I mean, I guess, Eddie was going through his Family Man phase where he was doing all these, the Dr. Doolittle stuff and,
It had his heart in the right spot.
What about Phantasm 2?
10 years.
Yeah,
Was it 10 years?
that's a
I like
decent-
that.
I like Phantasm.
I
too.
love Phantasm 2. It's my favorite of the franchise. What about Die Hard? It's a sequel to The Detective from 1968.
Everything after 3 doesn't matter.
No, well, 3 is really 4, though. That's the whole point.
Of course, I think Christian may bring up the ultimate one, and that's Psycho 2.
Oh,
There you go.
Psycho
That's a
2.
good one.
It's great. It's
I
great.
mean, it can't hold a candle to the original, but it's a good sequel. I think.
It's a weird movie.
It's
But in some ways, I like it better. I
it's
know
damn
weird,
close
but-
to holding a candle to the original,
Yeah.
which is an impossible feat. I think that movie's a miracle. I think Psycho 2 is a miracle because it shouldn't work. Not a thing about it should work, and it is such a well-written, compelling, and really efficiently directed film.
Yeah.
There's no fat on that film, and that's something that people do not mention. Everything serves its purpose, and it's a tight narrative.
Well, you had the director. I think he was a protege of Hitchcock, or either that, or he was just like a really, really big fan of Hitchcock. And I thought he had worked with him in some capacity.
He did.
but-
Yeah, he was a protege.
he was
on
very,
Family
very-
Plot, though, let's be careful there.
But still, he really, really respected Hitchcock to the point where he wanted to do the film justice because of
Right.
Hitchcock. And of course, then you still have Anthony Perkins returning. And I think he was kind of a
Garrett
gatekeeper
Miles?
for the character of Norman Bates. And I think that with the two of those together really kind of pulled off a miracle. Like you said, it's better than it has any right to be. And it's awesome.
Well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, that was a total cash grab for Universal because they were like, look at all these slasher movies. Let's just make Psycho into a slasher movie, and everybody who watched Friday the 13th will watch it. And I mean, it was just, they at least had the wherewithal to hire a really good director and a good writer to write the screenplay. So I mean,
And it actually genuinely leaves you wondering what the heck is going on, because I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, what is not what going on in a way of like stupid, but I mean, what is going on? Like, wait, what does this mean? But my only tiny gripe with Psycho 2 is the reveal of who actually committed the murders, which that might have stretched it a little bit for me, but the payoff with Anthony Perkins and that shovel was just like, that was gold.
yeah.
I love
That shovel was gold.
Yeah.
Another thing that movie does so well is at the end of Psycho, I mean, Norman is gone and it's just Mother, and he's he's revealed as like this evil killer, or she at that point, and Psycho 2 redeems him, and you feel for him for all the entirety of the film, right up until the shovel to the back of that woman's head. You just feel for this poor guy, like, oh my God, he's been through so much and he's trying to set his life straight. And yeah, he did bad things in the past, but this poor guy.
And you can see him fighting to maintain his sanity, even though everybody's trying to strip it from him as a form of punishment for what he did in the first film. And of course, at the end, he finally snaps. But there's a lot of great performances in the film, other than his as well.
Yeah,
Dennis Farina. Or not Dennis
Tilly,
Farina. I'm sorry. Who's
Robert Loggia. Robert Loggia.
Dennis France.
Dennis
France. Yeah. Pick up the knife, Psycho. Pick it up.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's it is one of the most tightly edited films you could ever see. That the diner scene with the note is a masterclass. It is worthy of Hitchcock. And it's great because there's no big shock effect there. It's all in the implication of what the note means. That's amazing. To make a note on a spinning rack a time bomb is amazing.
Yeah. And I like Psycho 3 too. It's a big step down. It's the slasher movie that they probably wanted out of 2, but I still like it.
Didn't Perkins direct that one?
Yes,
he did.
Yeah.
It was okay. I mean, it was a step down from 2, but it was decent.
Yeah. Anything with Jeff Fahey, right? I mean, come on. He does
Watch the guitar.
Yeah. You watch the guitar. Jan Man brings up Exorcist 3, which I mean, of course, we've talked about Exorcist 3 a lot, and that's an amazing film, no doubt about it.
Another one that's a lot better than it has any right to be. Yeah. A lot of that's due to the performances, really. George C. Scott, and of course,
writer director William Peter Blatty has everything to do with it, because every sequel he had any film in that series he has anything to do with is great, and any that he doesn't are awful.
Brad Dourif, though, I mean,
Yes.
He's
his
so
mind.
scary.
He knocks it out of the park.
Oh, the decapitation thing. Was it the monologue about decapitating the head?
Yeah. Straight out of the novel. All that dialogue is, and that's the thing. There was no one there to mess with what worked about the book. So we got a strong product.
Oof, that was
The
scary.
way he delivers that entire scene is fantastic. I love it. I never get sick. I could watch that scene over and over and over again, never get sick of it. I love it.
And I know people don't like to hear this, but I like the theatrical cut way more than I like the director's cut.
I do too.
But neither one has the book's ending. So it's one of those areas where you pick your monster. But I think the exorcism scene is great. I love Father Morning. I think the movie works. Gangbusters. I would actually put it somewhere in the top 50 horror films ever made.
The director's cut is just anticlimactic. He just shoots Brad Dourif and he dies.
Well,
Spoilers.
The Gemini's father simply dies off camera in the book, and so the Gemini is forced out of the body. And patient X just dies because there's no because now the wounds just do their thing. So it's even more anticlimactic. But the book works because they really play that angle. Like in the movie, they mention the father to shame his father, but it's a big thing in the book. And there's also a thing with his daughter, and it all balances really well. But it's not cinematic,
Right. We're running a little late tonight. We've gone over a little bit. So why don't we hold off? We've got 2 more topics we were going to discuss tonight, but let's hold off on those until our next show, because both of those are good topics, and I don't want to have to rush through those. Really fun show tonight. Lots of great topics to discuss. Let's do some shout outs here. Shout out to the Daily Ghost for the $10 super chat. Thank you very much. Shout out to Nico for the $5 super chat. Thank you, sir. Enjoy that. I think that was like a double meat and pepperoni pizza or something. Double beef and pepperoni pizza. Jeez.
Oh God. Oh.
Many animals died for that pizza.
Sounds delicious.
Stroke, heart attack.
And shout out to our buddy Stone for the $5 super chat. Thank you, sir. Let's see who is still watching with us here. We've got Dan watching. We got Christian. We got There's the Steak Sauce. We got Lance in the chat. We got Hey, Isn't That Devon Graham? Brian Trash, Zombie 7979, David Vines. We got Jamie in the chat. There's the Daily Ghost still in the chat. There's Nico still in the chat. My buddy Jan Man. Midnight Geek. And let's see who else is with us tonight. Micah Barrett. I'm sorry. Thanks for tuning in, Mike. Let me find somebody else to shout out. Who else can I shout out here at the end? Okay, here we go. Manhunter sucks. Even though I love Manhunter, but there's Orc. There's Orc in the chat. Orc will be our final shout out. Orc will be our final shout out.
What's up, Orc?
Hey, before you guys go, can I ask a audience favor? Everyone out there, tomorrow at some time, find this archive video on YouTube and let it play for a couple minutes. We want to see if we can get the algorithm to recognize the show and put it in people's feeds. So if you could all just give us that extra watch, the live show, we appreciate you showing up. But if you can check it out, even for a few minutes tomorrow, it would make a big difference for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when we
we're
chop
big
it up,
whores.
and if we chop it up, you see it in your feed, just share it, as much as you can to try to get it out there. That would be great.
Yes, please. Thank you. Yes. Again, if you like the show and you want us to support us a little bit more and get your hands on some awesome exclusive content, check out our Patreon. That link is in the description. Really quick here, what's going on Lord? What's going on your channel?
Tomorrow night, I have Stoker Award winner Gwendolyn Kist on my channel. Then on the Wednesday, the 14th, Sam and I will be doing a Just Talking Genre show, which is going to go to really dark, ugly places, I'm sure, and I'm excited about that. Then sometime the week after that, there'll be a very special panel on the Indian masterpiece, Zombie Ready, featuring a lot of familiar faces if you're watching this show. And we'll leave it there. I have more, but that's the end of the month.
What's going on your channel, Jamie?
Next Tuesday, I'm starting Twin Peaks Tuesday, so be sure you tune in for that. And also, at the end of this stream, I'm going to give it about a half hour, and then I'm going to go live on my channel for a little bit. So if anybody wants to come join, open invitation.
Very cool.
Oh, cool. What's going on with you, Stingray, and your myriad of channels?
Nothing on the docket as of now, but I did a couple of commentaries last night. You guys may want to go check out on my personal channel.
Cool. What's going on your channel, Monty?
I'm going to be doing a special viewer request review of the classic Fair Game with Cindy Crawford because everybody loves that movie. I'm also going to do a Bad Influence with Rob Lowe and James Spader, and also a special review from Stone for Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. So it's going to be some fun stuff coming up.
Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah, very, very cool. Mike, what's going on in your world, man?
I'm still working on some projects that haven't come to fruition yet, but things take time. And I do things behind the scenes. I got stuff going on, but nothing really to point to at the moment.
Okay, cool. I've got a bunch of reviews coming out. I am planning on doing a live stream tomorrow in which I make a couple of cool announcements. So I will be live streaming tomorrow night on my channel. If you guys are around, hop on, kick your shoes off unless your feet stink, and hang out for a while, you know? So
there's been a lot of feet talk in this show tonight.
No, what is going on? It's that we talk about one Tarantino movie, and the rest of the night we're just talking about feet.
Well, there you go. There's the problem.
Yeah.
Consider the source.
Let me find my copy of From Dusk Till Dawn. You guys have a great night. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you again the Thursday after next. So until then, have a great week. We'll see you again soon. Peace.
Peace.
Watch or be punished.